Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this and wherever you are watching this. This is the Millwall retain list for the 22-23 season, obviously carrying us into next season, 23-24. There we are. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a longer formatted video today. I decided to do a pre-record as if I would be doing a live stream because there's a lot to get through. And if I was to film and edit this on my camera, it would take a while. I'm going to save myself probably a good 4 hours editing and uploading. So bear with me. It won't be the usual, well, I hope, high energy, punchy videos that I try to produce. It's going to be a little bit of a slower one, but we're going to talk through the Millwall retain list 22-23. Almost a slip of the tongue there as well. Bear with me if you do get any of those. I only get one shot at this. So that was released. When was that released? Friday at 4 o'clock. And where do we start? Well, let's start with the players that will be leaving the club. The ones that are leaving the club, first team release. There you are, Mason Bennett and Scott Malone. I have already covered both of those two in separate videos, which you can get the links to at the end of this video, or just click back onto our recent feed or our Den Daily playlist. I won't be covering those again. Negotiations in progress. Connell Truman, the goalkeeper, of course, third choice, brought in on a free transfer, I think, or from Birmingham, one of the two. Not being around the first team at all, which with our current goalkeeping situation, shall I call it, doesn't surprise me, but now he's got a new contract. Maybe he'll be pressing to get a little bit closer to things. Not seen a lot of him. Seen him play for the 23s. Didn't bowl me over. I didn't have a lot to do in that game. I think they won like 5-1, but he did make an error for the goal. Not sure of his age actually. There's a lot of players to research, so you might be able to talk about in the comments with players' age or how long they've got left on their current contract. But we'll get through the main part of it and I'll give my opinions on the players in this video. So, Connell Truman in negotiations along with Ryan Leonard. Now, that is one that is going to divide opinion, and I will cover that in a separate video again if and when he signs. I expect him to sign. I will just say briefly, that was one that caused the most discussion, the most opinions from what I've seen online. There was a time when Ryan Leonard got in a Lions TV worst all-time 11. But as I said, one of Gary Rowett's main things he's done as our manager is bring the best out in Ryan Leonard. The issue we got is Ryan Leonard is ageing. He was signed as a record signing, of course, at the time. That's been beaten now by Zian Fleming. But we're not getting a lot of games out of him. He's spending a lot of time injured. Came back in towards the back end of this season, was brilliant and instrumental in that victory up at Blackpool. But as I said, we're getting about 20 games a season out of him, I think, on average. Should we keep him for another year? With the club are trying to, and I do expect him to sign probably on, a play as you pay. No, paid as you play. There you go. There's the first error, or something along them lines. But that is one I will cover. Negotiations in progress. That is one I will cover when he signs. I expect him to sign. I like him, and I said this one caused the biggest debate online, so I will cover that in a more extensive video when it is announced. Under 18s players released. Ernie Cheeseman, a guy called, it's really little, Lord K. Coleman, and Callia Donaldson. Sorry, boys, I might got your names wrong there, the first names. Lucky for me, you've been released by the club, and I don't now need to learn them. But so we're getting through this a bit quicker than I would have liked. Let's talk about the under 21s players released, because that is one that, as we know, I like to follow quite intensely. Alfie Allen released, Tyrese Briscoe released, Jordan Gilmore released, Arthur Penny, and the luckiest man in football, Ryan Sanford, is finally leaving Millwall Football Club. As we know, Sanford is a goalkeeper. Jordan Gilmore is also a goalkeeper. Arthur Penny can play centre-back, although I've seen him play centre midfield quite a lot this season. Alfie Allen, also central midfield. And Tyrese Briscoe. I'm going to say on those, I agree with the most of them. 1, 2, 4 of them, I would say. Well, 3. Sorry, 3. There's 2 maybe surprised me. Tyrese Briscoe is a striker that he almost got into the first team fold just after Zach Lovelace did. He made a couple of appearances off the bench or was on the bench a couple of times. However, he was plagued by injury before that. He's been plagued by injury since that. He's a good striker. It's a shame, but I'm assuming that his injuries tallying up has played a big part in him being released by the club. So it is a shame. Arthur Penny, local boy to me, Arthur Penny. I remember seeing him for the under-23s he was at the time, about 3 years ago. And when he came on as sub, I thought, fuck me, this kid's about 12. Great Barnet, beautiful flowing mullet, but looked really young, but surprisingly held his own. And I think he actually scored in that game, or scored. He used to come up from the back and get involved in a few headers. I came back the summer after to watch him, and he really looked like he'd done some work or just some growing. But he physically was much bigger, much stronger. Has captained the under-23s a few times. Been on loan out at Welling United. I actually went to watch him there when they played Maidstone. He played well. He had a good run in their side. And it's a shame that he has been released. That is one that has surprised me. But Arthur Penny has also been released. What it doesn't show you there, which is what I want to cover, I've got it up here, is the 23s that are staying. Obviously, the Alfie Allen, Tyrese Briscoe, Jordan Gilmore, Arthur Penny, Ryan Sanford will depart the club's under-21 setup. I've covered that. Abdul Malik, Nana Boateng, and Seb Droz and Joe Wright all offered new deals. I'm pretty sure you'll all know who those guys are. Joe Wright has been on loan at Bath City in the conference, if I'm correct with that one. Seb Droz and Nana Boateng and Abdul Malik also retained. Also, all three of those heavily involved in the 23s success this season, scoring lots of goals. Abdul Malik, I don't get all the fuss about him. However, he has scored a lot of goals this season, and you can't ignore that. Nana Boateng has come on for the first team previously against Crystal Palace randomly in the FA Cup, didn't he? Came on there and almost got on the end of a cross into the box to take it into extra time. And Seb Droz is a player I talk about a lot. I really like Seb. I think he's a very, very accomplished player. He is a player we got on loan from a team. I can't think of the name. It's up by where's it up near? Like sort of West Londonish, sort of, not Slough, because that's nice in Berkshire, isn't it? I think of the office. I think of the places near there. But anyway, look, Seb Droz is a very, very good player. Frustrating, he doesn't always get in the 23s. Doesn't always get in, but he's a very good player. They got him, as I said, they plucked him out of men's non-league. So he's quite raw. And I hope that he keeps that, because obviously when you go to a club, they'll try and coach you other ways and coach you the way that they want you to play. And I hope he doesn't lose that edge. He's fearless. He runs at the heart of defence, always trying to make things happen. And in a game I took both my kids to, I think we won 5 or 6-0 at the Den. George scored a couple, set one up, won a penalty, and he really, really was good. And he is one that will be very interesting in seeing in the first team fold, because we've got this issue with first teamers or the integration between the 23s and the first team. And I don't really make it, do they? I mean, it picks up a little bit in recent years with Romain Esse and Billy Mitchell, Danny McNamara, Tyler Bura, you could argue, I suppose, but Neil Harris actually bought him from AFC Wimbledon. But we have actually got some very talented 23s. Nana Boateng, again, look, I used to love Nana. He's my favourite under-23 player. He's not standing still because he's been injured himself, and you know he's still contributing when he did play. He was involved in the whole game quite heavily last week. But I've got this thing where I say, look, you stand still for too long in this level of football, you need to progress and sort of bounce off them 23s into a first team quite quickly. Otherwise, you'll be a Ryan Sanford. You'll be in the under-23s until you're 30. But look, Seb Droz, yeah, over the moon with that. Nana Boateng like it. Joe Wright, yeah, would like to see a little bit more of him. What I've seen of him, I like, and he's been out on loan at a good level for himself. And a bit lower down there, Nino Abdul Malaki. There's a guy that I spoke about in the Scott Malone. I'm just looking for the graphic. In the Scott Malone video that I put out yesterday or the day before, Nino Abdul Malaki is electric. And I feel that with Malone leaving the club, I'm hoping the club have got one eye on sort of bringing him into the fold, because he's a very, very accomplished left back / wing back. He actually got it all, this kid. He's pacey, he's powerful, he can defend. He makes things happen at the right end of the pitch as well. He can contribute with assists and goals, and I really like him. So the club have kept him. They've also kept Kamal Grant. Shamal Lawson has been out on loan at Maidstone, which is just like the road from me. I haven't seen a lot of him, but he's been playing the side quite a lot. Tom Lee is another one. Him, Droz, and Abdul Malaki at the minute. If someone said, give me a three that could make the first team, it will be Seb Droz, Nino Abdul Malaki, and Tom Lee. Tom Lee is an out-and-out striker, and that boy knows where the net is. Again, suffered from injuries this season. Other players also kept or had their contracts triggered. Chinta Cole, centre-back. Carl Smith, not too sure where he plays, if I'm honest. And George Walker, the flying right-back. Yeah, like them players, pleased with that. Alfie Allen Tyre, unfortunately, with Jordan Gilmore and Ryan Sanford, never going to make it at the club. I didn't really rate Alfie Allen, to be honest with you. I didn't really like to say that because obviously he's only a youngster, but things are looking good so far in this squad assessment / retain list. So we've done the negotiations in progress. We've done the under 18s. We've done the 21s released and the ones kept, and the first team released. We've done that in 2 separate videos, which you can check out on our channel. As I've already mentioned, loans expiring. Now, this is an interesting one. Of course, Ollie Burke, Charlie Creswell, Jamie Shackleton, and Callum Styles have all left the club. If you'd have asked me 6 months ago, would I have kept any of them? I would have said probably no. You know, other than Ollie Burke was 6 months ago, wasn't at the club. Let's start with him. Burke, I'd love to sign him. I think he's a really good player. I think he's a level above the type of player that we have had at the club. Potentially comes with his issues and wardrobe malfunctions. But look, he's been sold at certain clubs for a lot of money. And the reason he's at Millwall is because he's had these aforementioned problems. I don't know what the problems are. I'm not saying he's a bad egg by any stretch, but he's gone for a lot of money in the past, not in the Forest. He's been abroad. He's been on loan at Celtic. And of course, he's currently abroad at Werder Bremen. He does seem to bounce around quite a lot. That might be his preference. But I think he's come to the club twice now, Ollie Burke. Both times in progress of a season. And I feel that if we was to get a full summer out of him and a full pre-season, I think he could do good things. Him and Watmore on either wing with Fleming in the 10 absolutely excites me. So I would like to see him. Moving on to the Leeds pairing, Jamie Shackleton and Charlie Creswell. 6 months ago, I'd have said absolutely not, get rid of a pair of them. Jamie Shackleton, of course, we do have the option to buy if we do want to do that. Would I buy Shackleton? No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. I know he's versatile. I know he can play centre midfield and he can play right wing back or right back. But for me, I don't think he's going to push us to another level. All right, he's young, yes, and they may look at that. As I said, we have got the option to buy him. Charlie Creswell is one I've gone full circle. And, this is football. Sometimes you have to hold your hands up. And I have held my hands up. However, I do stand by what I was saying about Charlie Creswell. Is that I didn't know what the fuss was about, that he wasn't very good at all. And he just went full circle and he really, really showed us what everyone's talking about in that second half of the season. And I thought he was absolutely excellent. And I would love to sign Charlie Creswell because I do feel that there is going to be potentially, which I'll get onto when I get onto Alex Mitchell in a minute, and the rest of the first team squad, there's going to be a potential issue in our back line / back five or whatever we play. I'm including the goalkeepers in that. Don't get me started. But look, yeah, definitely for me, Creswell was one I'd love to see come back to the club. You could see he was fully invested in it full time. Obviously, after the Blackburn game, as I mentioned that, but the lap of honour, you can see Creswell fully giving his thanks to the fans. You can see him, videos of him on social media singing on the train Mill songs. So he does seem fully invested. And I would love to sign him. I'd love to see Mill break the bank to sign him. I never thought in a million years that I would say that. The fourth loanee that has now returned to his parent club. I covered this slightly in the Mason Bennett, Scott Malone video, excuse me, the other day. Callum Styles has gone back to Barnsley. Now, Callum Styles, when he came in, actually played wide left of a front three. I'm sure he did, or he played left wing back. Another player that is fearless, always looking to get on the ball, confident, always looking to hurt the opposition. And he was brilliant. I liked him when he played centre midfield. I liked him when he played left wing back. And I liked to play him when he played higher up the pitch as well, like sort of, as I said, wide left of a front three. Issue with him is the injuries. Now, I don't know whether it's the change of club, the change of logistics. I can't see it. Or maybe it's the step up in level and it's a little bit more physical in the Championship. I've alluded to that in a lot of videos I've done. Or, just a sheer change of scenery, as well as the more intense training. Maybe, Barnsley are no mugs. They're currently going to be in the playoff final this Sunday, aren't they, against Sheffield Wednesday for the right to rejoin the Championship. So he's gone back to Barnsley. We did have an option to buy it, although someone did say to me, I think I might have seen it on one of my YouTube comments, that he signed like a 4-year deal before he left Barnsley, and that was the only reason they would let him go to us. So if he was to sign him, it's not going to be cheap. Would they want him back if promoted? Would he want to go back if promoted? There is arguments for the both there, isn't it? Both sides of it. He came to Millwall because he wanted to play Championship football. He could potentially go back to Barnsley and do exactly that. However, would Barnsley want him? He's a good player, obviously, but they've got what they've got without his services. So maybe they could take the money from us and look to invest elsewhere. If you follow Callum Styles on Instagram, then I think it is fair to say that he's going to be rejoining the club, and he's made not a very good secret of it. He just said, great season. Thanks for all the support. Hopefully see you soon, with loads of little eye emojis, a little funny, I don't know what that was, the little weird eye emojis. So I think with Malone going, I think you could see Styles come in, although we will have to pay maybe over the odds. As I said, the only issue I've got with him is injuries, but again, a good young player. I like the fact that he's young. Billy Mitchell, Zian Fleming. We've got all these youngsters now to build a core through the team. Well, we haven't got so many youngsters in the back line, and I'm teeing up to be a little bit dramatic, really. I'm teeing up for a third time. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. Okay, so negotiations in progress. We've covered and will cover when I expect both Ryan Leonard and Connell Truman to sign their new contracts. Under 18s release, we've done that. Under 21s release, we've done that. We've also done the 21s that are staying, and the 3 that I hope would love to see him in and around the first team at some point. The loans expiring, we've done. Okay, now we move on to the big boys, the first team squad. Looking at it there's 18 first team players currently on the books of Millwall Football Club. That's better. We're a lot better off in numbers, I think, than we was this time last year, wasn't we? So we'll go through that list. Okay, we're going to cover Bart Balkowski, but while we're at it, we may as well cover the other charlatan between the sticks, Jordan Archer 2.0. Bartosz Balkowski came to the club. He came to the club after he should have done, quite a lot after, because he fouled 2 medicals. The reason he fouled 2 medicals was they said his knees were shot. And then ironically, of course, a man that passed the medical, Frank Fielding, popped his quad in the first game. Bart come in, never been injured since. However, that first game, Bart come on a sub against Preston when we won 1-0 and Matt Smith scored the goal. I think that's the game. A long while ago, assisted by Conor Mahoney from a corner. That's my memory on that game. Decent. Anyway, I went, I don't like his footwork. There's something wrong. You can see his knees aren't right, but that's always been the case, and it doesn't matter because he's a brilliant goalkeeper that saves shots. Every man and his dog, apparently, was at his under-23 game just before the end of the season where Bart played. Now he's shot. They get about 30 people going to watch the under-23s. But apparently everyone was there that day and said, Bart shot to pieces. I have no idea why he got taken out of side. And the reason I say that is because he didn't do a lot wrong. I think one goal at Burnley away when we was already 1-0 down and already backs to the wall and weren't going to get anything out of the game, he made an error. He dropped it at the feet, shot, spilled it at his feet, and who's the guy with a ponytail? They say he's one of our own. Jay Rodriguez, is it? He scored the second. And since then, Bart got taken out. George Long's come in, and how long is this going to take? Now, George Long's come in for his distribution. There was an upturn in results and form when he did come in. However, am I going to talk about the Blackburn? Just honestly, the Blackburn game in real time, first goal I didn't see, and he's been beaten from distance. But what teams are doing now is, if you notice the amount of teams that come and have one shot against us and score 1 goal, and we've had 6 or 7 and can't score. I'm not blaming Long for us not scoring, but they're conceding. Teams are targeting him now. It is Jordan Archer 2.0. He cannot dive properly, all right? I'm a fat bastard now, yes. Was trained by professionals my whole life up until I was till I was an adult. Then I went and played men's football, good standard. He doesn't know how to dive properly. His technique is all wrong. And this is why I can put him down to about 10 goals I could probably sit here and reel off if I wanted to. I'm not going to do it. The Blackburn game, the free kick he should hold because he's right where he's standing. And even the Brereton Diaz third goal, which was the equaliser, in real time, I thought great shot from distance. If you watch that back on a Sky highlights of the game, or if you can bring yourself to do it on YouTube, it goes in the middle of the goal and he's diving full length and getting nowhere near things. George Long is not up to this level of football, and I'm already dreading next season because I think Gary Rowett's now got a bit of a fucking bee in his bonnet about him, and he's going to continue to play him. I understand now that Bart is 35. However, goalkeepers can go on longer, and I just think that put him back in until he does something wrong and then take him out. I don't think George Long's 70-yard kicks to Tom Bradshaw warrants him being in goal when he cannot save the football. He cannot dive properly. I can't believe people, well, a lot of you are seeing it. But if I was the Millwall goalkeeping coach, sorry, Andy Marshall, you have been on the channel. I've got your phone number. I might actually, no, I'm not really. I'd love to message you and say, what is he doing in training, this guy? Because he cannot dive properly. He doesn't push and project off either foot. He sort of kicks his foot out the back and falls backwards. Goalkeeper, you've got to make yourself as big as possible and project when you dive off your haunches, left or right. Finish sideways. He flips backwards, ends up in the fucking facing the goal. And I think this could be the first of our problems because Bart signed a new contract. No one's going to buy George Long, and I don't think Gary Rowett's going to drop him. And I think Bart signed that contract, as I just said, on the understanding that he will now be the number 2 to Long, and he'll probably finish his career at Millwall Football Club. So there you go. That's the first issue for me in that squad for next season. Let's talk now. This is where I'll move straight on to it. Other issues. The defence. Stanley McNamara. It's a funny one with our fans because when Billy Mitchell came in, he was the hero, and then Danny Mack came in, and Billy Mitchell was the villain. And now they're both villains. So everyone don't know what to understand. But Danny Mack's a good young player. However, as I said earlier with someone, I can't remember who it was, but about Ollie Burke, about why he is where he is at Millwall Football Club. If Danny McNamara could cross a ball, he would be playing in the Premier League. However, his final ball is not good at all. It's getting worse, actually. No, sorry, Dan, but it needs improving. Probably working over the summer. His final ball is terrible, and that is why he plays for Millwall Football Club. Young right back, more than happy to have him around. A lot, good player for us. I haven't really got an issue with his crossing, especially if we don't. Well, I have, but it is what it is, and we're not going to buy anyone else. And if he plays a back four, I prefer him as an out-and-out right back. I think he defends really, really well. He's pacey, he gets stuck in, a Millwall type player. So he's going to be our right back. Then if you look along the back line, okay, you got Jake Cooper, Sean Hutchinson, Murray Wallace, okay? Now, if you put them three in with Bart Balkowski, those four have been the mainstay of our back line for at least 4 years, probably more with Cooper and Hutch. And the issue I've got now is I think Murray Wallace's legs are gone. I think Hutchinson's going to be going that way next season, and Bart doesn't play anymore. And I think it's massive for us as a football club. We scored a few goals this season, but previous to that, we didn't. And we used to rely heavily on our defence, on our clean sheets. And I just think now that we need a bit of an overhaul. I think that the defenders there and the goalkeeper is coming to this sort of end of its time. And we haven't got the money to invest heavily to restock it. Also, I feel that essential defence pairing is so important. It's similar to a Morrison Gregory or a Sheringham Cascarino, or at the back as well, or and you want to wind it back a bit, and Nevercott Dyche or something like that. I think it's very important that those players build an understanding. I think you could have one really good centre back, but if you can't play with his partner, I think that could fuck you. Excuse my French. And I'm worried. I love Cooper. I don't see the issues with Cooper. One of my favourite Millwall players. I know a lot of you go, Cooper's lost it. Cooper's this. I think Cooper's great. Is he in contract negotiations or did he just sign a new one? He's going to be staying. I'm sure he'll be staying. Hutchinson also, I love, although he's coming to the end and you saw that, with Creswell playing in front of him, that could potentially be happening soon. We had Ballard one season. We've had Creswell last season. And I think Hutch now is 31, 30. Murray Wallace wrong side of 30. Balkowski. And I feel the core of that team has been so important to us. And I feel now that we could have issues, as I said, trying to filter out the old school and stock it up with with new blood, new Millwall type players, and a strong centre-back pairing. Callum Styles coming in, I think will play left-back if he does sign, which I expect him to, judging by his Instagram. Murray Wallace, as I said, coming to the end. Sean Hutchinson coming to the end. Bart don't play anymore. So for me, in the summer, I think we need to potentially invest in that area. However, we do have, of course, Sir Alex Mitchell, been out on loan now. First season, I'm going to absolutely kill myself because I'm filming this live and I can't remember. He went out on loan to Bromley, didn't he? Okay, I remember that for a short time. Then he came back. Then Leyton Orient, that's where he went out on loan to Leyton Orient. Had a season at Leyton Orient. He came back, didn't he, in the summer? And he was involved in some friendlies. He scored in the friendly against Arsenal. And before that, it could be Big Algier. And now he's been shipped out on another year's loan to St Johnstone. St Johnstone didn't do as well as they would have liked, I don't think, this season. However, Alex was named Young Player of the Year. I think at some point, Alex is going to be bled into this first team, and I'm more than happy with that. I would have been happy with that last season. We say the only way to learn is to play games. You can get all the experience you like at St Johnstone, at Leyton Orient, but as I said already in this video, the Championship is a completely different game. And I think that they're getting Alex as much experience as possible. So when it does happen, the inevitable to Sean Hutchinson, I might be wrong. Hutch may go on to play till 35, but I don't think it'll happen. Not at this level. So I think when the club captain does call it a day or his legs do finally go, I think Alex Mitchell's going to come in alongside Jake Cooper. I can't see what else is going to happen because we didn't want to buy Ballard. We won't have the money to buy Creswell. I'd love it if we did now. And I said, I'm surprised myself saying that. But Alex Mitchell has come through the ranks at Millwall. He's been around the first team squad. He's got an understanding of the club. So I think, as I said, getting centre-halves that can play together, I think maybe not this season, but eventually it could be Alex Mitchell and Jake Cooper. And for that reason, I don't think you'll see Alex Mitchell go out on loan. Again, I might be wrong, and they might go for a short-term fix again for a third season in a row. As I said, Ballard, Creswell, and then maybe again with someone. But I just think, it's got to happen at some point, this integration. And I think it will happen with Alex. The club have invested so much time into his development and obviously getting him out on loans and finding the right loans for him. And I think they've done that really, really well, the club. Alex is going from strength to strength. And like I said earlier, a player that wasn't hanging around in the 23s for ages. Billy Mitchell was the same. In, boom, show your worth, move on to the next level. So that's the back line. Done and dusted. I'm a little bit worried. But I'm sure, well, I hope this slick fucker, Mr. Joan Barrelson, has a trick or two up his sleeve, or hopefully some dollars or some Bitcoin or some shit. But yeah, we could do with investment in the back line, in my opinion, in this transfer window / this summer. Moving into the midfield, I was so focused on watching the Mason Bennett, Ryan Leonard and Scott Malone thing unravel that I completely forgot about. Where is he? I've got my glasses on. There he is. George Evans has been retained by the club. Oh, I don't, he actually come in amongst that old school of the Kieftenbeld, Bennett, Malone, Evans, ex-players that have played on the Rowett. And when George Evans came to the club, I actually put a little bit of a downer on it and took a little bit of a bold step and said, I don't think it's a good move, because if you look at his track record where he's been previous, Reading, Derby, etc., his game to season ratio is playing about a third of the games. And that's exactly, he's slotted into being a squad man at our club, hasn't he? I did hear a strong rumour that they was going to let him go, potentially someone like Huddersfield on transfer deadline day in January. That didn't happen because we couldn't get other players in. So Evans stayed. I'm assuming he hasn't been released because he is still under contract. And they won't just release him. They want to obviously, for now, retain him and see how they get on through the summer, because he is versatile. And actually, weirdly, when he's come on recently, I don't think he's done too bad, but he's been completely out of the fold. You're not going to win league titles and get promoted with George Evans around the place. Not just him, but a few. I think a few, looking at our squad now, I don't want to say that we're going to struggle next year because it's a long summer ahead and things could change, but just a lot of things seem to be coming to the end of their cycle, in my opinion. And George Evans is at the club. People were surprised he didn't get released. The reason he didn't was because he's still under contract, and maybe the club can get a bit of money for him and use that wisely elsewhere. I think obviously go to a League One club, but at the minute he's under contract, and they're not just going to pay him off. Also, central midfield, we'll take your pick after that. Billy Mitchell, George Saville, great pairing in midfield. Billy Mitchell, brilliant young player for us. He's only going to improve. George Saville, again, probably my player of the season, if I'm honest, alongside Tom Bradshaw. I'm not really sure as Ian Fleming got player of the year, if I'm honest. Because, yes, he scored lots of goals. Yes, he's been that injection of moment of magic that we need and, can pull us out of hole with a goal. Some brilliant performances, yes. Preston away to name one. But player of the season, I'm not so sure. But Saville, again, he's kicking on a bit, Sav, wasn't he? He has changed his game, Savs. He has changed his game, and he's gone into more of a, upsetting midfielder, getting a foot in here, winding this one up there, getting in the ref's ear there. Still a great player, make no mistake, but he's not that George Saville 2017-18 used to arrive late in a box and score goals. So again, Shackleton's gone back. If we're not going to sign Shackleton, we will sign Styles, hopefully, and then you've got the option of Styles, you've got the option of Mitchell, Evans, and Saville. But again, even there at the minute, if I'm honest, you can also count George Honeyman in that because he's a midfielder /10. I think, as well as maybe investing in a really good centre-back, I think we could invest in a really, really strong ball-playing central midfielder that can get forward a bit and join in with the goals. I know we scored a lot of goals this season with Bradshaw and Fleming, but Gary Rowe has alluded to, we need goals from other areas of the pitch, and I could probably count on one hand goals that our midfielders scored, really, if I'm honest. So for me, investment needed so far: 1, a goalkeeper; 2, a centre-back; 3, a good central ball-playing midfielder. What I want, like a leader, someone who steams into tackles but is very vocal, a big presence on the pitch. But again, that is going to cost you. Where are you going to get one, an experienced one from as well? I'm not so sure, but that's not my job. That's Alex Aldridge and Gary Rowett and the like. I'll just give you my opinions. Okay, sorry, I'm just looking at the list. Who haven't I covered here? Let's just move on to the wingers. Fuck me, there's enough of them. Duncan Watmore. I suppose you can count Andreas Volsamer, Idemo Amaku, Romain Esse, Tyler Bury, and even suppose George Honeyman, if I've not already mentioned him. Amaku, not seen a lot of him. Come in, he's been injured a couple of times. He's involved in the 23s. That is tonight, by the way, the cup final at the Den, 7 o'clock. I'm not going to make it tonight. If it was on a weekend, I'm 100% I would have been there. But I think you've got a lot of players now. Said Bennett's gone. A lot of players, similar types of players. But again, ones for the future. Esse, Amaku, like them both. From what I've seen, are they going to be starters in the Championship for us? For me, no. For Gary Rowett, also, I think no. And I think you may well see one of them go out on loan. Tyler Bury as well is a name that has sort of went, again, when he come in, everyone's going, he's fucking brilliant. Brentford are going to buy him. What's a player? Gets bums off seats. And I said at the time, got to be honest with you, he's not very fucking good because I watched a lot of him in the 21s. Very self-indulgent, no-end product. And I don't think he's helped his case with our fans, giving a few people a fuck off, didn't he, a couple of times. And the worst applause ever, but he was doing this with his hand in his sleeve, clapping the fans like this on the lap of honour. Like, he looked like he didn't want to be there. I'll be surprised if he is there. He's been left out of points this season, out of the squad entirely in favour of Esse or Amaku. So I think Tyler Bury you can rule out, and does that bother me? No, not in the slightest. He's not going to be a Championship winner for us, is he? So get rid of him. Amaku and Esse, like him, maybe could. Very similar types of players. I think Amaku's left-footed, but maybe could benefit from a loan. Both of those or one definitely. I know a lot of you will be shouting at the screen, start Esse. He's not going to start Esse in the Championship, and I don't personally think, as much as I like him from what I've seen, and again, one that's progressed, he didn't even touch the 23s, 18s, straight into the first team, boom, away you go. I don't think that the answer is Romain Esse in a starting 11 for Millwall at the start of next season. Could be proved wrong. It's happened before. I mean, on the other wing, you've got Andreas Volsamer. You've got George Honeyman. I don't think I've left anyone out. I'm just checking. No, I don't think I have. Of course, we've lost Oliver Burke, and Duncan Watmore. Duncan Watmore sung his praises when we signed him. I don't know loads about other teams. I've said this before, and their players in the Championship. Someone will go to me and live stream, Dan, what do you think of fucking so-and-so that plays for fucking West Brom? And I'll be like, fucking hell, swerve that question. I have no idea what you're talking about. But Duncan Watmore was a player I was aware of. And he really showed his worth at the back end of the last season. Again, he's going to benefit massively from a pre-season. And I think you'll see big things from him next year. Scored 2, of course. The technique on that first one against Blackburn, hand up, head down. The technique was absolute spot on. There's actually a picture. He's actually giving his finger a little, where is it? He's actually giving his hand, the fingers a little point to the ground. Head over the ball, boom, brilliant strike. And then obviously the second one, cool and composed. Hit the post up at Blackpool, 2 assists. I think you're going to see him do damage on the left wing as a starter. And on the right wing, well, it's open for debate, but I would like to see us try and get Ollie Burke. So at the minute, I'm saying we want a goalkeeper, we want a centre-back, we want a centre midfielder, and we want to buy Ollie Burke from Werder Bremen. Of course, that's not going to cost us anything cheap, is it? So 4 players we want there already. Volsammer, he's got another year. That got triggered by the amount of games he played. He's not for me. And other than that, yeah, there's no other wingers on that side. Amaku, SA can play on the right as well. But for me, I'd like to see Burke return, as I said, and they're the players I think we need in so far. It'll be good for SA and Amaku to be around Watmore and Burke. That 4 there, I haven't got an issue with that at all. You know, get the youngsters on. Problem we got is we're not one of these sides that run away with games and got to score 4 or 5 goals, are we? And in recent years, we've been sort of up the top end of it, in touching distance or in the playoffs until the final day. If we had a season perhaps where we finish 15th and there is 10 games to go and there is nothing to play for, I'd love to see maybe the youngsters get a run then. Even looking further back into this show, and it just in my mind there, Seb Droz and Nana Boateng, both players that play in those sorts of positions as well. So we're definitely well stacked at the club with some exciting young talent. And if we can get Ollie Burke back, in my opinion, with him and Watmore, 2 very, very capable ones in the Championship. Next up, the Bermondsey Bergkamp, Zian Fleming. He comes from Amsterdam. We know that much, and he hates fucking West Ham. But look, not really a lot to say, to be honest. Best record signing ever by Millwall, which wasn't hard to beat, was it? But best record signing probably ever for a lot of clubs for the amount of money we got him from. I remember Kenny saying in the pre-season, let's not get on his bollocks, 23 years old, young guy, new country, new club, let's give him time to bleed in. And he sort of needed that first. He got injured literally straight away. Don't think he even started the season. Come back after about 10 games, quite slow starting. And then once he got going, fearless, strong on the ball, composed on the ball. Not deceptively quick, but he can protect the ball so well. When he's under pressure, maybe 2 or 3 players trying to nick a ball for him. And he just must be freakishly strong. Model professional, they always are them. The Dutch, they live their life right, don't they, Joe? He seems like a nice guy, seems well-grounded, seems settled at the club. And, of course, he finished our second top scorer with something like 14 goals this season, I think it was. He was second to top scorer, of course, behind my boy, my broski. Why did I say that? That was embarrassing. Tom Bradshaw, 17 goals this season. I don't know how Tom Bradshaw didn't win Player of the Year, because it was a little bit of a fucking resurrection. It was a little bit of a Jorge Masvidal, if you follow the UFC. The resurrection. People thought Tom Bradshaw was done at Millwall. He's shit. Bravarson's better. No wonder he's on the bench. He can't get in. He'll send him down to Gillingham and all that. And he's come back with an absolute bang and got back in the Wales score, finished our top scorer, I think, on 17 goals. 29, though, Tom Bradshaw. I would like it if he's, again, would like it if he was younger. If he was, would he be at Millwall? It's a fucking good question. I think you well could see someone come in and try and buy him. I'm just checking names of that list there to make sure I've covered everyone. And I have. Tom Bradshaw, brilliant. He will always be a lone striker because him and Fleming just behind him work so well. As I said earlier, look, in my mind, at the minute, this will be our team on paper. New goalkeeper needed. That's one player needed. Then it will be Danny Mack right back, probably Callum Styles left back, Hutchinson and Cooper for now, with a view to getting Alex Mitchell games this season. Central midfield, Mitchell and Saville, although I'd like to see another midfielder in there competing with those two, a real general, a real physical presence, a leader in the midfield. Where are we going now? Zian Fleming, not a problem with it in the 10. Bradshaw up front, not a problem with it, although I'd like to see another striker come in, and then Watmore left and Burke right, bring Ollie Burke back to the club. But also, we do need cover for Bradshaw. So I am going to say we need another striker. So what's that? Goalkeeper, centre-back, centre-mid, Ollie Burke, and another striker. We need 5 new players. And we can't, in my opinion, beg, borrow and steal on this and loan. We need 5 good players. I think Ollie Burke's, I don't know what his contract is at Werder Bremen, but that's going to cost you in excess of £2 to £3 million. I would imagine maybe that won't happen on that basis. But yeah, we also need, as much as I love Bradshaw, he gets injured, we're sticking a slammer up front and we might as well not bother. So another striker. Yes, we did go for Kevin Nisbet, whatever he's called, Rabsey's nephew, from Hibs. That didn't materialise for whatever reason. I know the club did everything they could to get over the line, and there was rumours he may come back. I can't see that, if I'm honest, and I can't say why. But maybe ask the doctor at Harley Street. Oh, what sort of nick he's in? You might get your answer. But look, I definitely think we need another striker. So Tom Bradshaw, I love him, but he's 29 years old as well, and we can't go in to next season with one championship striker. I honestly feel we could struggle next year. And I don't want to be fucking Danny negative already because it ain't even started yet. But wheelings and dealings definitely need to be done with 5 players. One of those to be Ollie Burke, I would love to see. I would have Creswell back, but I don't think it would happen. And moving a few more out. You know, that Tyler Bury, I'd like to see go. Not interested in him at the club anymore. George Evans wouldn't be in the world if he left. George Long, I'd fucking drive him anywhere he wanted to go to get there. And even Volkshammer, but he's going to be staying Volkshammer. So, yeah, 5 needed in my opinion. Big summer ahead. The right decisions made on the 23s that stayed. Really excited to see what Seb Drozd, Nino Abdelmalaki and Tom Leahy can do this season. Of course, 18 first-team players at the minute. We expect Connell Truman and Ryan Leonard to join those. Leonard will offer cover one at right back, at centre-back, at centre-mid. So I think if Leonard gets tied up, you could then see Evans move on. But look, it's going to be a very, very interesting summer. I hope you've enjoyed that show. I hope I didn't bore you too much. And expect more Den Dailies to come this week. Let me just check my phone because I'm waiting on a message from someone to confirm a day this week for Lions Lounge. I'm not doing anything this week other than getting this Lions Lounge done because it will be the biggest Lions Lounge ever. I've added an ever on because it's huge. It's huge. But listen, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope that wasn't too boring at 42 minutes. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Of course, am I right? Am I wrong? Who do we need in? Who do we need out? Amount of players we need in positions. And I'll have a look. And then what we're going to do next week is we're going to get the boys back in for a den debate. And they're going to also have their say on what I've just done. So I'll just guide them through. And we'll have a little open house. That's why I didn't do this live, by the way, because I do love interacting with you. But what usually happens, if I try and get all this information across, I love your comments so much that I end up talking bollocks and I end up focusing on the comments and not getting across my opinions, etc., on the players and the club's retain list for the 22-23 season. There you go. There's a graphic I made. Don't know why I showed you that. You saw it at the beginning. That's your lot, everyone. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to Lions TV. Come on, you Lions.